Picture a man standing in a sun-baked 7th century desert. The ground is dry, the air is still. Yet he looks out at a sparse settlement and calmly describes a violent, inescapable flood that will one day swallow it whole. This was Imam Ali, speaking to a crowd who had never known such a disaster. He told them that a time was coming when their city would drown, leaving nothing visible except the balconies of their mosque, floating on the water like the breast of a ship in a deep sea. At the time, the Islamic Empire was still in infancy. The massive urban capitals that would define the region for a millennium hadn't even been conceived. Ali identified unborn kings, described the specific facial features of foreign soldiers who wouldn't invade for 600 years, and mapped a precise geographic path of ruin through the region. For centuries, the cities of Iraq rose and fell according to a timeline established before their first bricks were laid, a sequence of warnings that named each city and predicted its final hour. The geographical timeline begins in the south, at the coastal city of Basra. Ali warned of a terrifying, unnatural army arriving to besiege the city. They would march without making a sound, without rustling their bits or stirring up dust, striking the earth with feet like ostriches. This force is led by an invader known as the Sufyani. According to the texts, he breaches Basra's defenses in exactly 3 interventions, systematically crushing the local authorities, capturing the population, and bringing the city to its knees. But the siege is just the prelude. Immediately following the military collapse, a catastrophic flood hits. The waters rise violently, completely submerging the stone architecture under a deep, dark sea. The historical record backs this up. During the reigns of later caliphs, Basra flooded catastrophically from the Persian Sea. The waters wiped out the houses, and exactly as predicted, only the Grand Mosque protruded above the surface, looking like the chest of a sitting bird. The destruction actively marches northward, striking toward the heart of the country. That brings us to Wasit. This city sits right in the middle, exactly 50 farsakhs from Basra in the south and 50 farsakhs from Kufa in the north. Ali dismisses Wasit with 6 words: the water will simply overwhelm it. The city is noted as a gateway, used by conquerors to maintain their momentum toward the northern targets. The prophecy turns the very geography of Iraq against itself. The southern coast and the middle territories form a fatal, unavoidable runway, designed purely to deliver doom to the true prize waiting at the end of the road. That prize was Al-Zahra, the city we now know as Baghdad. Built by the Abbasid Empire between the Tigris and Euphrates, Ali described an imperial capital glittering with gold, silver, ivory, and massive marble domes. Yet beneath the lavish architecture was a society in deep decay. He described a city built as a house of amusement and play, fueled by hoarded wealth, governed by wicked leaders, and managed by treacherous ministers. This ledger contains the titles of the 24 kings of the Banu Shayban who would rule Baghdad. Titles like Al-Safa, Al-Miklas, and Al-Mutref appear in the text exactly as they eventually appeared in the royal court centuries later. Then he detailed their sudden end. A massive foreign army arrives. They dismantle the empire effortlessly, lowering every single defensive banner the city raises against them. Ali even documented the attackers' physical features centuries before they arrived. He warned of soldiers wearing heavy iron clothing, hairless and beardless, with small eyes and broad faces resembling hammered shields. He referred to this cryptic force as the Banu Kantor. The historical reality of that name hit Baghdad in 1258 CE. They were the Mongols, and their brutal sack of the city ended the Islamic Golden Age. The greatest political power of the era spent hundreds of years constructing its own lavish tomb, completely oblivious to the fact that the exact blueprint of its killers had already been documented. But the texts push even further, past historical invasions and into a final apocalyptic climax. This decree is triggered when global power shifts, marked specifically by the weakening of the authority of Rome. At that time, a terrifying atmosphere grips the people of Iraq. Ali described a state of fear and death so overwhelming that panicked citizens move chaotically toward the violence, crawling like a swarm of ants. A final, relentless invader descends from the foothills. As he marches northward, he systematically obliterates both Basra and Wasit again, leaving absolutely nothing standing in either city. When this force finally reaches Baghdad, the city falls peacefully. There is no siege. The terrified citizens simply abandon their capital, fleeing southward in a desperate mass exodus to survive. This creates the ultimate inescapable trap. The refugees seek shelter behind the ancient walls of Kufa, but waiting for them there is the advancing army of the Sufyani, who corner the population and slaughter everyone inside. Every drowned street, every breached gate, and every fallen empire in Iraq's history played out exactly as written. They were mapped with terrifying precision by a man who saw their violent end centuries before they were even built.